Hello friends and welcome to this session for GATE and ESC Electrical Engineering. My friend, this session is going to be one of the most awesome session and you are going to really learn something very new and something that will help you in the exam. In the exam for GATE, may it be 2021 or it may be 2022. Now, before we start the lecture, my friend, let me introduce you myself. My name is Ankit Goyal. I got AIR 1 in GATE 2014 and GATE 2018. And my friend, I was also awarded the President of India Gold Medal by the President himself in the year 2013 when I graduated from IIT Indore. Presently, I am working as a director at an academy for GATE department, and that is why constantly I am able to bring new and more initiatives for you. Because an academy is not an institute. An academy is not a coaching. An academy is more of a revolution. An academy is more of a feeling. An academy has everything right that is wrong with every other coaching institute in the country. The name An Academy, my friend, has been comprised of two words, un and academy. That means it has everything that is not there in an academy. So an academy cares about the student in the best way possible. It cares about the student most than or more than any other person can. All the initiatives are centered on the student. That is, they are always working towards the student welfare. And that is why, my friend, you are watching this course on power system. That is why, my friend, you are watching this course on power system free of cost on our YouTube channel. So my friend, if you are visiting this channel for the first time, make sure that you have subscribed, because we have electrical machine, power electronics, power system, communication system, EMT, EDC, network, signal, control, digital, everything is here on this channel, that too free of cost, my friend. But what has An Academy done? An Academy has brought a revolution in the country where they are providing the most affordable education, and that too free of that too at the most affordable price, as well as free of cost on YouTube. So my friend, if you want to be a part of the revolution that An Academy has created by means of the courses that are running on An Academy, where they are bringing you the best ever educators of the country on a single platform. That is, you, my friend, can be able to learn from India's top educator at the cheapest or at the most affordable prices possible. At the most affordable prices possible. Now, my friend, I'm talking to you. You can dare to dream. You can dare to enter a PSU. You can dare to dream about MTech from an IIT. Why? Because An Academy has made it possible. An Academy has done everything that is required to get the best rank in GATE examination. So my friend, if you want to join An Academy, make sure that you use the code Ankit ESE, because the door to An Academy opens with this code, and this directly makes me your mentor so that I can guide you at each and every step regarding your GATE preparation. And not only this, you will also get 10% discount on your subscription. Now, what does An Academy bring for you? Not only the live classes. The live classes are the best part of An Academy, where you can interact with the educator, ask your doubt, and make sure that you understand each and every concept and then only exit the class. But other than that, you get dedicated doubt session, where you can post a pic of a question and ask any doubt, any number of doubts. Then you have weekly quizzes. Every Sunday we test how much you have understood. Then there are daily practice paper which we provide you for practice. Then there are practice questions from An Academy. Then there are test series from An Academy. Then there is crash course, where we will boost your rank in the last few months. There is rank improvement batch for the students who have already done well in the GATE examination. Now, my friend, all of this just with one subscription fees, where you don't have to pay anything again and again or anything extra. That is the magic of An Academy. Just join An Academy without thinking too much.
Hi guys, up to now in fault analysis what we have covered is, we have covered the tools that are required for fault analysis. First of all, we saw the per unit system, that is how to represent the entire power system in terms of PU. Then we saw the concept of symmetrical component, that is how to analyze an unbalanced system in terms of balanced components. Then we saw sequence network, that is how to design the power system equivalent circuit for different symmetrical components, that is positive sequence, negative sequence and zero sequence. So in this lecture we will be starting with our fault analysis, that is how to make use of the mathematical techniques that we have learned so far to analyze the abnormal conditions occurring in the power system. So fault analysis is basically analysis of abnormal conditions in power system. Okay, it is done prior to the occurrence of fault. It is not that the fault has occurred and then we are analyzing. We are analyzing before the fault occurrence. Now fault analysis is divided into two parts. Short circuit fault, whenever there is a short circuit it is an abnormal condition, or there is a open conductor fault, whenever any conductor gets open circuited. Now in case of short circuit fault we have the following categories. First is your line to ground fault, that is one line is connected to ground. Out of three lines, one will be connected to ground. Other is line to line fault, that is two lines are short circuited together. Then next is LLG fault, that is two lines are short circuited as well as they are connected to ground. Then three phase short circuit, that is LLL fault, and last will be triple LG fault, that is all the three phases are short circuited as well as they are connected to ground. Now whenever the same condition is occurring in all the three phases, then their currents will have equal magnitude, voltages will also have equal magnitude, system will be balanced. So these two type of faults are balanced type of faults or symmetrical fault, because it is condition is symmetrical in three phases. These are called as unsymmetrical fault and they will make the system unbalanced. So we will require the method of symmetrical components for the analysis of unsymmetrical fault. In case of open conductor fault we have two categories, one conductor open or two conductor open. But in our gate scope we have only short circuit fault, so we will take a look at the analysis of short circuit faults. But the first thing that comes to mind is, why are we doing fault analysis? What is the purpose behind it? Why go through so much trouble to arrive at the fault current? The reason is, if we know the magnitude of fault current before the occurrence of fault, then I know how much current will be flowing in the system if a fault occurs. And if I know how much current will be flowing under faulty conditions, then I will devise a measure to open circuit the power system if such a current will flow. That is, if I know how worse the conditions can be in the power system at the time of fault, then we can design a effective protection system. Okay, now protection system has two parts. One is called as protective relays, other is your circuit breaker. Now the working of relay is, it has to sense the abnormal condition, then inform the circuit breaker that there is abnormal condition in the circuit, so circuit breaker can open circuit the power system. So relay must only sense. Now if I give you two currents, one is the minimum fault current, other is the maximum fault current, which current should the relay operate on? The answer is, it must always operate on minimum fault current, because if it can detect that 100 ampere is an abnormal condition, then definitely 200 ampere will also be a abnormal condition for the relay. But if you set 500 ampere as the abnormal condition, whereas the fault current is 100 ampere, it will think that 100 ampere is a normal current, there is no fault in the system. So fault will not be cleared. That is why relay must always operate on minimum fault current. If it can sense minimum fault current, it can sense a current higher than that. Now if we talk about circuit breaker, the function of circuit breaker is to open circuit the power system for the fault condition. That means it will actually open the current flowing in the circuit. Now suppose the current is high, then current density will be high. Okay. Then it will lead to high electric field intensity, which can cause ionization of the dielectric medium. This is called as arc. So whenever the circuit breaker will try to separate, an arc will be struck between the circuit breaker contacts, and till the arc is present, there will be current conduction between the two contacts via the ionized medium, because ionized medium will act as a conductor to conduct the current between the two plates. So if you have to actually open circuit, then you have to remove this arc. Now higher the current, dangerous is the arc. So that is why we need to know the maximum fault current, so that we know how much dangerous the arc can be, or what is the maximum arc intensity that I have to extinct. That is why circuit breaker are designed based on maximum fault current. Okay, got the reason? Because with the maximum fault current, arc will be the most severe, and we need to devise a method to extinct that arc, which we can only do if we have an estimate of maximum fault current. Next, let us look at the assumptions that we make for the short circuit fault analysis. First is, generator will be modeled as a constant voltage source behind subtransient reactance. I will explain the meaning of subtransient reactance later on, but this assumption just means that generator has a constant EMF under faulty condition. This EF remains constant. Next is, shunt element in transmission line is neglected. That is, the shunt admittance will be neglected. So what will be there? Only the series impedance, which is equal to R plus JX. The next assumption is, load current is taken as 0. That means the entire current will flow into the fault. No current will go through the load. Okay. Now that means we will remove any load. We will take fault under no load condition. That is, before the occurrence of fault, there was no load in the system. Why? Suppose if IA current is flowing in the power system, then VT will be EF minus IA XS, okay, or XT. That means VT will be low. But if we want to analyze the worst case scenario when the fault current is maximum, for that VT should be maximum. For that, this negative term should be 0. That is, IA must be 0 before the fault, or we can call it as pre-fault. Okay. If there is no load condition in the power system before the occurrence of fault, then VT will be maximum, due to which the current under faulty condition will also be maximum, as we want to analyze the worst case scenario or the most severe conditions in the fault. The next assumption that we make is, we will neglect all the loads in the power system except synchronous motor. Why? Suppose there is a synchronous motor. And we short circuit the terminals. Now it will act as a generator and it will supply current to the fault. Okay. Here the stored kinetic energy, because the rotor would have been rotating when the fault occurred, so it will have some kinetic energy stored in it. That stored energy will act as prime mover and it will be converted to electrical energy, which will be delivered to the fault. That means under faulty condition, the motor also acts as a generator and delivers current to the fault. So if we neglect synchronous motor, then what will happen? We are neglecting a part of the fault current. That is, we are underestimating the fault current, which is not a healthy practice. So we will consider synchronous motor as it will act as a generator. but we will neglect induction motor. Why we will neglect induction motor? See, induction motor does not have any field excitation. If it does not have any field excitation, that means it has to draw the entire reactive power from the supply to generate the flux. That is why induction motor always acts as at lagging power factor. So, when we will short circuit the supply, then what will happen is the reactive power that it was drawing from the supply, that is the magnetizing current, will go to 0. So, there will be no excitation, hence induced EMF will be 0 under faulty conditions. Okay, so that is why we will neglect the induction motor under faulty condition, because it will not be able to supply the fault current. Okay, only synchronous motor can supply the fault current, not the induction machine. So we will neglect any passive loads and we will consider only the synchronous motor under faulty condition. Okay, so these are certain assumptions that we will maintain, and in case of generator we will assume that synchronous speed is constant, so that frequency is also constant under faulty condition. Next, let us see how we can compare the severity of different faults. Severity in the sense the magnitude of fault current. Now when we compare the severity, the line to ground fault is least severe, but as the number of phases involved in the fault increases, the severity will increase. So line to line fault will be more severe, LLG will be still more severe, but triple L and triple LG, this will be most severe. That means we will design the circuit breaker based on the 3-phase short circuit fault. Okay, as I told you, circuit breaker is always designed on the basis of most severe type of fault, so it will be designed on the basis of symmetrical fault. Now, if you think when 3 phases are involved in the fault, okay, the probability that all the 3 phases are short circuited at the same time will be very rare, but one line can be grounded very easily. So the probability of occurrence of LG fault will be higher as compared to triple LG fault. So the chances of occurrence are 70%, 15%, 10% and combinedly 5%. Okay, so 3-phase short circuit fault are very rare, though they are the most severe type of fault. Okay, because all the 3 phases are short circuited simultaneously, that will be a very rare occurrence. Now one thing that must be striking in your mind is, how does a fault occur in a power system? What can be the possible cause of a fault? Now suppose there is a tree, there is a transmission line that is going from a tower. Now what happens if a tree branch falls on the transmission line? Then it will connect the line to the tower. So the current will flow from the line into the ground. So that will act as a LG fault where one line is grounded. So that is one of the most common causes, that when one of the tree branches falls on a transmission line, there is a line to ground fault occurring. Other than that, when we consider the tower, then transmission line are hanged by means of insulator. Now suppose by some means, that may be due to lightning over voltage, the transmission line voltage increases. Then what it can do is the air around the insulator may get ionized. If it gets ionized, there will be a arc formed between the conductor and the tower, due to which current will flow through the arc into the ground. So that will also cause line to ground fault. It is also called as arcing fault, because this fault has occurred due to the arc formation between the conductor and the ground. In case of bus bars, what we do is we have a very high dielectric strength, so there is very less chance of any arcing fault in case of a bus bar, and also we use hollow conductors in bus bars, so the electric field intensity is lesser Hence, there is less chance of arcing fault. Now let us analyze the case in which we have a generator and a transmission line and we encounter a symmetrical three-phase fault. So this can be represented in circuit form like this, where Vt is the source voltage, R is the line resistance, L is the equivalent inductance. Okay, here Vt can be written as, it will be a AC voltage which will be Vm sine omega t plus alpha. Alpha is the initial phase of the voltage and we are assuming that the fault occurs at t is equal to 0. Now when we want to find the current flowing in the circuit, it will have two components. One will be the steady state current, other will be the transient current. Steady state current will be given by Vm by mod Z sine omega t plus alpha minus phi, and transient current will be some initial value, let us say I0 e raised power minus t by tau. Here mod Z is actually under root r square plus omega square L square. Phi will be tan inverse omega L by r and tau is actually L by r. Now I know that we are assuming no load condition before the fault. So current at 0 will be 0. So at t is equal to 0, we can equate the current to be 0 because current cannot change instantaneously due to presence of inductance. So at t is equal to 0, I is 0. So 0 will be equal to Vm by mod Z sine alpha minus phi plus IT0 e raised power minus 0 by tau. So from here I can calculate IT0, it will be minus Vm by mod Z sine alpha minus phi, or we can say Vm by mod Z sine phi minus alpha. From here I can write IT Vm by mod Z sine omega t plus alpha minus phi plus Vm by mod Z sine phi minus alpha e raised power minus t by tau. Okay, this will be the total current flowing in the system. Now this will be your steady state component and this will be your transient component. Okay, there are two components in the current. So this will be the case for the fault occurrence at t is equal to 0. Now let us take another case when the fault occurs at some other time, let us say t is equal to t naught. Okay, fault is occurring at t is equal to t naught. Let me assume the voltage at, let us say just Vm sine omega t. Now current will have the same equation, Vm by mod Z sine omega t minus theta, let us say, plus I0 e raised power minus t by tau. Now we will say at t is equal to t naught, since no load condition would be acting, IT naught would be 0. So 0 will be Vm by mod Z sine omega t naught minus theta plus I0 e raised power minus t naught by tau. So if I calculate I0 here, it will be Vm by mod Z sine omega t naught minus theta into e raised power t naught by tau. So it will come out to be Vm by mod Z sine theta minus omega t naught e raised power t naught by tau. Don't get confused by theta here. Theta is actually tan inverse omega L by r. Earlier I was representing it by phi, now I am referring it to as theta. So the total equation for current would become IT as Vm by mod z sine omega t minus theta plus Vm by mod z sine theta minus omega t naught e raised power minus t naught by tau. This term I have combined with the term e raised power minus t by tau. Now suppose a question comes, the condition for no transient. If there are no transient, that means the transient term should be 0. So theta minus omega t naught must be 0. T naught must be theta by omega. That is the condition in which there will be no transients in the transmission line. Only steady state current will flow. Now if we plot the transient and the steady state current, the transient current will be decaying exponentially. This will be sine theta minus alpha e raised power minus t by tau. This is my DC offset current. It is also called as DC offset current. Okay. Similarly, if we plot the AC current, which is also called as symmetrical fault current. Why symmetrical? Because it is symmetrical about the x-axis. So sine curve will be something like this. But we have sine omega t plus alpha minus theta. That is, I can also write as sine omega t minus theta minus alpha. That is right shift by theta minus alpha. So it will be like this. This angle will be theta minus alpha. So this is my symmetrical fault current Vm by mod z sine omega t plus alpha minus theta. Now if we add these two currents, that is called as that will be called as asymmetrical fault current, because there will be DC component in the current. So it will not be symmetrical about x-axis. So how will it look like? This is the DC component. We will shift the signal by this much. Okay. So how will my current look like? It will look something like this. Okay. Just I have shifted it upwards by an amount DC offset current. So now if you see, it is not symmetrical above and below the x-axis. Now the initial 1 or 2 cycles of the fault current is called as subtransient period. Then some more cycles is called as transient period, that is 3 to 5 cycle. And once the DC offset current is almost 0 and the steady state current settles down, it will be called as steady state period. Then the waveform will be symmetrical about x-axis, because transient would be decaying to 0. Okay. So that will be almost at 5 times the time constant, that is 5L by R. So if we define symmetrical RMS current, symmetrical current means the current which is symmetrical about x-axis. Definitely this will be just the AC current, because AC current will be symmetrical. So symmetrical RMS is how much? It will be Vm by root 2 mod z, because Vm by mod z is the maximum value, Vm by root 2 mod z is the RMS value. Or we can directly say Vrms by mod z. That is your symmetrical RMS current. What about asymmetrical? Then we know total current IT is Vm by mod z sine omega t plus alpha minus theta plus Vm by mod z sine theta minus alpha e raised power minus t by tau. Now to find the RMS value of composite current, we will add the square of RMS value of each and every current. So I asymmetrical will be under root RMS value of this current will be Vm by root 2 mod Z square. RMS value of DC current is same as the DC current itself, Vm by mod Z sin theta minus alpha e raised power minus t by tau square. Vm by mod Z can be taken as common, under root half plus sin square theta minus alpha e raised power minus 2t by tau. This will be the asymmetrical RMS current. Okay. Now if we observe that the current decays when we go from subtransient towards the steady state region, so the current is maximum in the subtransient region and minimum in the steady state. So where should we open the circuit breaker, in the subtransient, transient or the steady state? See, if we open in the subtransient region, current will be highest. Then what will be happening? We won't be able to extend the arc that will be formed due to that high current. So we cannot open the circuit breaker in subtransient region because arc will be too dangerous. Then we cannot open in the steady state region also because steady state occurs after a long time. If fault current is allowed to persist for such a long duration, it can lead to system damage because high current flowing for a long duration will cause overheating of the system. That means we have to operate in the transient region. So circuit breakers are always opened in the transient region, not in the subtransient or steady state. So what happens is, if you are opening in transient region, still subtransient current will be flowing through the circuit breaker. It must be able to handle that much current, though it will not be opening at that current, but it should not get damaged at such a high current. So that means circuit breaker will have a rating that it can handle this much current for a short duration. That is called as maximum momentary current. So what will be the maximum momentary current? It will be the maximum fault current during subtransient region. Okay. Now current was Vm by mod Z sin omega t plus alpha minus theta plus Vm by mod Z sin theta minus alpha. Now the maxima will occur at omega t equal to pi, that is t is equal to pi by omega. So what we will do is, we will neglect any decay of the transient current in that period because I want to do the worst case analysis. So I am assuming that the DC current or the transient current is at its maximum initial value. So we will take this term as 1. So it will be Vm by mod Z sine of pi plus theta is minus sine theta, so it will become sine of theta minus alpha instead of alpha minus theta because it will become minus sine theta, plus Vm by mod Z sine theta minus alpha. So it will become 2 Vm by mod Z sine theta minus alpha. Now if we neglect the line resistance, the line impedance Z is actually R plus Jx. If R is taken as 0, Z will become equal to Jx. So angle theta will become 90. So I max will become 2 Vm by mod Z sin 90 minus alpha will be cos alpha. To further maximize this value, we will take alpha equal to 0. That is I max will be equal to 2 Vm by mod Z. Okay. So it is twice the symmetrical current because symmetrical current has the amplitude Vm by mod Z. It is called as doubling effect. Okay. Now what does alpha represent? We were considering fault at t is equal to 0. So at t is equal to 0, what will be the voltage? It will be Vm sin alpha. So alpha indicates the initial voltage at the time of occurrence of fault. Taking alpha is equal to 0 reduces the voltage or the initial voltage to 0. Okay, that means at the time of fault, voltage was 0. If the fault occurs at the voltage 0, then the fault current is maximum, that is 2 Vm by mod Z. Similar concept we study in machines in terms of magnetizing inrush current. If transformer is switched on at voltage 0, then there is a doubling effect, magnetizing current is most severe. Similarly here, if fault occurs at the voltage 0, then the fault current is most severe, that is twice the steady state current. Okay, it is similar to the concept of magnetizing inrush current. So let us summarize what we covered in this lecture. We first saw what is the scope of fault analysis. Then we saw what is the aim of fault analysis. What are the assumptions behind fault analysis? What are the causes of fault? Then we saw the transient, in which we derived current equation as Vm by mod Z sine omega t plus alpha minus theta plus Vm by mod Z sine theta minus alpha e raised power minus t by tau. Then we saw the symmetrical current. This is your symmetrical, and overall is called as asymmetrical. Then we saw maximum momentary current, which in the worst case was equal to 2 Vm by mod Z. But practically it will be less than this because we made a lot of idealities or lot of assumptions while calculating this value. Okay. So this is the general aspects of the fault analysis. In this, the transient analysis or transient on a transmission line is very important. Okay. So do remember this current expression for the gate examination. In the next lecture, we will see how does a synchronous machine reacts to a short circuit fault. What all physical phenomena occur.
So my friend, if you want to join an academy, if you liked the lecture, if you like the content that you have just watched, and you have decided that an academy is the right place for you, and you want to learn with me, you want to learn from me, then don't hesitate, because that is where we are conducting free classes every day that will boost your gate rank. So if you decide to take subscription, click on Gate and ESE, click on Get Subscription. After this, you can choose the plan that you want to opt for. The final year and dropper can take 1 year plan. Second and the third year can take 2 year plan. But don't forget to use the code Ankit ESE. This will give you 10% off, as well as it will bring you under my guidance. And as you can see, the prices are really affordable, my friend. It is much less than any other institute can offer you. And that is why I keep repeating, an academy is not an academy. It is a revolution. It is a feeling. You can make the payment by credit, debit card, EMI, net banking. Also, EMI is available on debit card, but for HDFC debit card and Bajaj Finserv debit card. So if you are from a weak financial background, you can pay the amount in installments, but only use the code Ankit ESE. And my friend, these are some videos where I have told how to study, how to get the best rank in GATE, and these videos will really help you in cracking GATE. So make sure that you watch each and every one of them. And my friend, these are our other channels, like for mechanical we have, for civil also we have, for computer science we have for SSC, JEE, all branches, electrical, mechanical, civil. And on this channel we have the previous year question video solution, that too free of cost. And many more channels will be coming very soon for you guys. So be a part of our YouTube family, and you can take the benefit of all the free content that we are